Hong Kong was actually up 0.1% overnight to 24,208. And lastly, want to highlight that the House of Representatives here in the United States plans to hold a series of votes, including the bipartisan infrastructure bill. That's roughly $1 trillion. Now it's scheduled for Thursday, as well as a continuing resolution to keep the lights on in the federal government open past this Thursday, September 30th. Ed also tells me that there may also be some votes to advance or at least show the appearance of progress for a massive 3 trillion plus reconciliation tax and spending bill. We're not really sure when that will pass. Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, said that bill will be below the 3.5 trillion originally proposed. No agreement yet on that. And that's what I got for you, Allie.
Thanks so much, Dave. Now let's turn our attention to Thinkorswim from TD Ameritrade. We have the NASDAQ composite here. Of course, Chris, want to get your thoughts on last week's market action. Ed and I were talking about how it was basically a roller coaster to nowhere from the start of the week to the end of the week.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, it was a nice close above the 21-day, above the 50-day. We're right, back near the 50-day. Actually, the Qs are below it. I think SPY is probably, let's see.
Looks like a hair
right
under
there.
it.
Retook it and still battling it. So,
So not out of the woods yet.
No, not at all. But at least out of the gate, the market is above where it opened, and it's trying to rally. So that's good to see. We'll just see how it comes. I mean, this will the coming days are important because either we hold and start moving above the 50-day, or we roll over.
Mm-hmm. And Scott, your thoughts on the market action last week?
I think last week was fine, but you have another trapdoor this morning, which is not a total shock. And if we can't make a series of higher highs fairly quickly, which is the norm, that's been the standard for the market. Every time you get a sell-off, it comes back and it never undercuts a previous low, at least in the last 12, 14 months. So if we undercut a previous low, that would bother me a little bit, but I'm not a big fan of the overall market as we sit here. But I don't make I know it's important. I've talked about it. The M in Can Slim is so important. I've told the story that Bill said he should have put the M in front, but I don't know, the M just is so tough, man. The M just influences me, and the M gets me, man. If I think the M is coming, it's going, and vice versa. So a lot like Mark Minervini will say, if I have stocks that are setting up, I buy them, and if stocks are not acting well, I sit out. And I'm paraphrasing what Mark says, but that's same thing. I think if there's a stock I like, I just buy it. If there's a stock that's not acting well, then I just avoid it or get out. And I think if the market is really bad, then the stocks won't act well, so they won't pull you in. One thing about the really bad bear markets and some of the fall through days that didn't work, one of the great things is when there's a fall through day in late 2000 or 2001, very often there's nothing to buy. So, the market's trying to pull you in with the signals you're getting, but there's nothing coming out of a base. There's no setups. So you just wait it out. So that's my thought process. I'll stop there, Allie.
For now, we'll put a pin in it. We'll get back to you. Dave, what do you think is the most important thing investors should be doing this morning in terms of assessing their portfolio and where they're at, on top of hopefully, maybe a little bit of the research and assessment that they did over the weekend?
Yeah, great questions, Allie. And I first of all, I agree with what Scott just said. M should always be in the front of the Can Slim acronym. And lately, M might stand more for mind-boggling, right, than market, because we have so many things to worry about, right? This wall of worry is just gigantic, and yet there's still a lot of demand for equities. I'm personally encouraged by how the Nasdaq reversed very nicely. I'm talking about the Nasdaq Composite last week. You know, it looked like we were going to be down 3 weeks in a row. Instead, we had a big shakeout, and I would say right now, keep your losses small as always, right? Because you know no one's going to be perfect in this game, and the smaller your losses, the more cash you have to deploy in some new winners. And I personally think the market still favors can slim investors. We're starting to see rotation again. And as an example, take a look at Jets, take a look at LUV, take a look at the hotel and travel booking. I might have said, I guess I didn't say on the show, but last week I started accumulating shares in Booking, BKNG, used to be Priceline. I'm traveling again. I hope others are traveling again. I hope the economy comes back and travel and leisure is strong. Scott, you were just in New York as well.
Yeah, New York seemed like New York. You know, they do have mandates with masks and vaccine cards if you want to go to a restaurant, et cetera. But I think it's a small price to pay for staying open and being out there. And yeah, it was fun.
So, okay, how do you play this group? Dave, you said you are in bkngbooking.com. Was that when it took out this 2,400 level last week, or when did you get in?
Exactly. That kind of coincided, Allie, with the declining tops trend line, even or that trend. That's a great trend line to, or I guess a draw to line breakout line that you could use. So you know, once first I saw that several days before that you had a nice bounce off the 21-day exponential, and I think that was Monday. That was the sort of wild right sell-off we had in the market, and that positive reversals really excite me. And you also had the relative strength line going in the right direction. So you know I used that draw to line. Also used the declining tops from 2516, and thought this is really interesting because no one is really talking too much. In my view, you know, we have CNBC on the background. We have a lot of news everywhere. Didn't really see too much bullishness about travel stocks in general. EXPE, another one to watch. That one is acting very well, and you'll see that this one is now starting to turn 82 relative strength rating. Don't mind the losses per share because you know these companies went through their worst nightmare in a century.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's actionable now in this group? I guess that's the thing, right? Whether it's Expedia or Booking, it seems like your chance was last week. So if you want exposure to this group, how would you go about doing it? Just wait for the right setup?
Well, let's try to draw a declining tops line for Expedia and see how far above we are from there. You know, we're at 174. Yeah, that's a good line there. So obviously around 160, 165 would probably be your aggressive entry point. At the same time, uh, what we like to call conservative in terms of buying these moves is be conservative in the sense of wait for the stock to further plow through that overhead supply. There's clearly a lot of overhead supply at 180. So my expectation would be EXPE will kind of bump its head against that level, maybe pull back, cool off a little bit, prevent a straight up from the bottom SUFB kind of action. And you know we're coming into earnings pretty soon too, so that could be the future catalyst. If we go to BKNG, you know I'm fortunate, lucky that I've got this nice entry point right now, but I'm looking to add shares because I know this is a well-run company. They're doing great marketing, and BKNG is near sort of like that round number as well, Allie. So if you don't mind going back to BKNG real quick, and let's look at another potential buy point here. Not
DK.
DKNG.
I don't know why I thought I heard a D there.
We addressed
Okay,
that one on Friday for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, clearly there wasn't any real handle that formed with Booking, but 2516, you know, that will be a real important test here. I would expect Booking to kind of cool off a little bit, except unless there's some big catalyst, you know, regarding vaccines, regarding travel news, regarding whatever it may be.